In the spring of 2025, the world held its breath as India and Pakistan exchanged missiles and drones, teetering on the edge of an actual nuclear confrontation. But the roots of this conflict were not planted in this year alone. They go back decades. To the moment when the subcontinent was divided in Kashmir, this became the spark of a struggle that still burns to this day. In late 2025, the world stood on the brink of a nuclear abyss. India and Pakistan, two neighbors bound by history, were prepared to ignite a full-scale conflict that could threaten millions. But this critical moment was merely the climax of a saga that began in 1947, when the partition of British India displaced between 12 and 20 million people and left behind a violent legacy that claimed the lives of between 500,000 and 2 million individuals. From the very beginning, Kashmir was the spark of the conflict. The first war resulted in ceasefire lines that satisfied neither side. Tensions flared again in 1965 and then in 1971, when the conflict led to the secession of East Pakistan and the creation of Bangladesh. In the aftermath of the 1971 war, the Shimla Agreement of 1972 was introduced to establish a framework for bilateral dialogue and affirm respect for the existing lines of control. However, goodwill did not last long in the face of renewed tensions. At that point, India entered the nuclear race in 1974 with its first successful nuclear test, named Smiling Buddha. Pakistan followed in May 1998 with 5 additional tests, leading to international condemnation and the imposition of sanctions. However, fears of a nuclear confrontation never truly subsided. After the 1971 war, the Shimla Agreement of 1972 established a framework for bilateral dialogue and mutual respect for the line of control. In the summer of 1999, Pakistani forces swept through the icy heights of the Kargil region, sparking fierce battles between the two sides. The clashes resulted in the deaths of 527 Indian soldiers, according to official figures, and over 700 casualties based on independent estimates. As the dust settled, terrorist cases took over the escalation scene. The Pulwama attack in February 2019 killed 40 Indian Central Reserve Police personnel, followed by the Sindoor and Bunyan Amarsis operations. As the dust settled, terrorist attacks took over. The Pulwama attack in February 2019 killed 40 Indian Central Reserve Police personnel, followed by the Sindoor and Bunyan Amarsis operations in April 2025. In response to a deadly attack that killed 26 tourists in Kashmir, deep in the sky, fighter jets and drones roared, and missiles echoed over a border where nuclear tensions and the threat of ground escalation converged. Figures varied. India claimed to have inflicted casualties on 100 militants inside Pakistan, while Islamabad spoke of targeting 26 Indian military sites as part of its counterattack. Even when diplomacy intervened, peace was little more than a dance on a tightrope. On May 10, 2025, former U.S. President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire brokered by the Biden administration through statements by Vice President J.D. Vance and former Secretary of State Marco Rubio. However, the truce collapsed hours later, both sides trading accusations of violating it, and skepticism clouding any renewed hope. 78 years of conflict and rivalry, from past wars to contemporary crises. Will these two neighbors finally be able to extinguish the flames of hostility? Or will the specter of history continue to summon its horrific chapters? The question remains.